ready to rock.
In 1940, only 10% of first-time brides were receiving diamond engagement rings. By 1990, that number had skyrocketed to 80%. So in less than 50 years, we collectively decided that a chunk of compressed carbon was suddenly essential to proving eternal love.
Oh my God.
Chasing the light, world spins wild, we take control, up we rise, heart of rock and roll.
Which raises the obvious question, if we can be manipulated into thinking rocks equal romance, what other matrimonial beliefs are we clinging to without even realizing it? Why do we still put a ring on it when literally everything about society, love, and family has been turned upside down, shaken, and reassembled like a confused IKEA bookshelf?
Like, comment, and subscribe.
World spins wild.
We've got dating apps that treat human connection like ordering takeout, birth control that separated sex from babies, women who can own property, and men who cry in public. Yet, we're still following a script written when people thought the earth was flat. Yeah, I had to insert that. And washing your hands was apparently optional.
I don't like you. I don't like you at all.
The contradiction of modern marriage, an ancient institution that refuses to die, even though most of its original purposes have become as obsolete as that Nokia flip phone.
We're breaking the night,
Let the games begin.
chasing the light, world spins wild.
Let's get one thing straight from the start. Marriage wasn't invented by Hallmark. Evidence suggests the institution is at least 4,300 years old, with the first recorded evidence of marriage ceremonies uniting a man and a woman dating back to approximately 2,350 BC in ancient Mesopotamia.
Aww, so cute.
Through the chaos, feel the beat.
And here's where it might shatter your romantic notions. These weren't candlelit ceremonies with string quartets. They were business transactions. Let's create some research context we can agree on before understanding the psychology, or maybe just the psycho of it all.
Rock and roll.
Early marriage was the ancient world's equivalent of a corporate merger. Two families sitting across from each other, not asking, do they make each other laugh? But how many goats is your daughter worth, and what's the property portfolio looking like? Marriage served as a mechanism for transmitting property, status, and roles, validating relationships within and between kin groups. And through these unions, alliances were forged, fostering social cooperation and mitigating conflicts. Now, the anthropologist Claude Lévi-Strauss had a particularly brutal way of putting it. He saw marriage as essentially legalized kidnapping with paperwork. His alliance theory suggested that marriage was fundamentally about men exchanging women like trading cards to create social bonds between groups. Romantic? Nope. It's just about as romantic as a tax audit.
Bruh.
But it worked. In agricultural societies, marriage was often a way to designate an heir to land, animals, or other property or rights. If you owned a farm, you needed someone to inherit it. If you were a blacksmith, someone needed to learn the trade. Marriage wasn't just about two people falling in love, if ever. It was more about economic survival and social stability. The perks were clear. Security in a world where starvation was a real concern, with family alliances that could protect you when the neighboring village got aggressive, social status that meant the difference between eating meat or being the meat, and legitimacy for children so they wouldn't spend their lives as social pariahs. And gender roles? Well, they weren't oppressive social constructs. They were survival strategies when physical strength determined whether you lived or died, and pregnancy lasted 9 months regardless of your career ambitions. Specialization kind of made sense. It was brutal, efficient, and absolutely nothing like what we call marriage today. This system was so ingrained that it created what anthropologists call kinship obligations. You weren't just marrying a person, you were marrying into an entire network of relationships, debts, and expectations that could span generations. Now, let's fast forward through the centuries, and marriage starts getting, well, a little complicated. The medieval period treated marriage like a business contract that was written in Latin that basically nobody could read. The Catholic Church muscled right in, declaring it a sacrament, translation, we're in charge now, while nobles continued treating it like international diplomacy, but with better food. Then the Renaissance happened, and then suddenly everyone had feelings about feelings. Poetry became a thing, art got sensual, and people started entertaining the radical notion that maybe you should actually like the person you're legally bound for life. Revolutionary stuff, kind of. But the real earthquake came with the Industrial Revolution, when people started working in factories instead of family farms, when cities swallowed up villages, when cash became more important than cattle. Marriage had suddenly an identity crisis. The economic necessity started cracking, but the social expectation remained rock solid. Enter the 18th and 19th centuries, when romantic love crashed the party like an uninvited wedding guest who ends up giving the best speech. Suddenly, novels were full of people marrying for passion instead of pastor rights. The idea that emotional compatibility might matter started creeping into wedding planning. Legal shifts followed the cultural ones. Divorce laws evolved from till death do us part, literally because divorce was impossible, to irreconcilable differences are apparently a thing. Women's rights movements meant wives could own property instead of being property, and sexual liberation meant you could test drive before buying.
Yeah, baby.
And then came the symbolic revolution. This is us, y'all. The part where we get absolutely played by marketing geniuses. You see, in 1947, De Beers hired the New York-based advertising agency N.W. Ayer & Son to create a marketing campaign that would promote diamonds as the ultimate symbol of love and commitment. Copywriter Francis Garrity scribbled 4 words at the end of a late-night work session. Can you guess what it was, and still stupidly is, even with lab-grown on the rise? Yep. A diamond is forever.
Diamonds are forever.
Think about that for a second. A woman working late, probably underpaid and undercredited, it was 1947, wrote 4 words that would convince generations of people that love could only be proven through geological specimens. In Japan, De Beers had to first introduce the concept of a diamond engagement ring altogether, as it wasn't part of traditional Japanese marriage customs. They literally exported a manufactured tradition and made it feel ancient.
Touch it, stroke it, and undress it.
There was no prior tradition of diamond engagement rings. Engagement rings date back to Roman times and beyond, but only 10% of 1930s engagement rings contained diamonds.
Need love. For what good will love do?
De Beers took a struggling post-Depression diamond market and turned it into an emotional necessity. They did not just sell jewelry. They sold the idea that without their product, your love was somehow insufficient.
Diamonds are forever. Sparkling brown.
The wedding industry followed suit. What started as community gatherings became destination extravaganzas. Pinterest boards replaced prayer books. The average wedding cost ballooned from what we can afford to what will make good photos. We turn marriage ceremonies into performance art where the performance budget often exceeds the participant's annual salary. And here's the cultural mindfuck. We simultaneously made marriage more emotional and, well, more commercial. We demanded authentic love and authentic diamonds. We wanted traditional values and progressive gender roles. We created an institution that's supposed to be both timelessly sacred and somehow constantly evolving. And somehow, somewhere in the middle of this chaos, with divorce rates fluctuating like mad cow disease, gender roles in flux, and economic systems changing, and social media turning everyone's relationship into a public exhibition, marriage not only survived, dude, it thrived.
Wow, is very nice.
Fast forward to 2025, and marriage has become the world's most expensive participation trophy. You get a certificate, a tax break, and the legal right to make medical decisions when your spouse is too unconscious to argue about them. Now let's talk perks, because modern marriage comes loaded with them. The estate tax marital deduction means any property that passes to your spouse when you die is exempt from federal estate tax. You can transfer assets to your spouse at any time, in any moment, tax-free. That's not romantic love. That's advanced financial planning with feelings attached. Health insurance becomes a family plan. Hospital visitation rights become automatic. You get to decide whether a deceased partner will be cremated and where to bury them. Adoption and parental rights get streamlined. It's like joining a very exclusive club where the membership dues are till death do us part, and the benefits package rivals most corporate jobs. But now here's what's fascinating. You see the psychological perks? Well, they've evolved too. Marriage still signals stability, but now it's emotional stability rather than economic survival. It's social recognition, but instead of village approval, it's LinkedIn relationship status and joint mortgage applications. It screams commitment in a world where ghosting someone is considered acceptable communication today. Yet, here's the contradiction that should make your head spin. You see, children born outside marriage are not bastards anymore. Cohabitation has become so normalized that couples who choose to cohabitate without getting married can also be socially monogamous. Basically, you can have kids, buy houses, build entire lives together without a single piece of government paperwork. The stigma evaporated. But somehow, the institution persisted. Why? Well, because we've turned marriage into something else entirely. A voluntary performance of permanence in a very, very disposable culture.
What the hell are you talking about?
Now here's where it gets deliciously cynical. While we were busy evolving marriage into an emotional choice rather than economic necessity, marketers were busy turning it into a consumer category. Tiffany & Co., anyone out there remember the blue box? It did not just sell rings. They sold the concept that luxury equals love. They positioned those little blue boxes as symbols of worthiness, creating a psychological equation where the price of the ring somehow correlates with the depth of feeling. It's really brilliant marketing disguised as romance. The modern wedding industrial complex makes De Beers look like amateur hour now. We're talking about an industry that convinces people to spend the equivalent of a down payment, a car down payment, on a single day. The average wedding cost in 2024 hit $35,000. That's more than many people's annual salary spent on what amounts to an elaborate dinner party where everyone has to dress up and pretend your uncle's speech was funny. Now, social media amplified this exponentially. Weddings became content creation opportunities. Instagram turned every ceremony into a branded experience where the hashtag matters as much as the vows. And Pinterest boards replaced prayer books. The pressure isn't just social anymore, it's algorithmic. Think about the absurdity. We've created a culture where people go into debt to prove their love, where the quality of the party somehow reflects the authenticity of the commitment. We've commodified one of humanity's most basic emotional needs and convinced ourselves that spending more money makes it more real. But here's the thing. It worked. You see, we participated willingly. We not only accepted the premise that love requires luxury consumption, we embraced it, we shared it, and we turned it into content. Hoo-wee! So, why do we still fall for it? Why does marriage persist even when cohabitation works just fine, when divorce is incredibly common, and when the economic incentives have largely disappeared? I'll tell you why. You see, humans are ritual-seeking creatures living in a ritual-starved world. Marriage provides what psychologists call temporal landmarks. Moments that help us organize our life story into meaningful chapters. It's not just about the person, it's actually about the narrative structure. There's you, there's him, and there's marriage. Marriage functions as a cultural archetype, a story we continue to play out because it gives shape to chaos. It's the promise that randomness has meaning, that commitment can triumph over entropy, that two people can choose each other repeatedly in a world full of incredible options. But let's be brutally honest about the cognitive biases at play. Sunk cost fallacy kicks in the moment you start planning. You've already invested so much emotional and financial capital that backing out feels kind of wasteful. Social conformity pressure is real. Try explaining to your grandmother why you don't need marriage when you're clearly committed. Fear of missing out on societal milestones creates anxiety that maybe you're doing life wrong. There's also what anthropologists call costly signaling. Marriage is an expensive public demonstration of commitment precisely because it's so hard to fake. Anyone can say they love someone. Not everyone will legally bind themselves, throw a party, and invite both sets of parents to witness it. The ritual itself serves a psychological function. Weddings force us to articulate our values publicly, to define what we believe about love and commitment in front of everyone who matters to us. That's not marketing manipulation. That's meaning making. See, here's what's beautiful about it. Even knowing all this, even understanding the marketing mechanics and psychological manipulation, people still choose marriage. They choose it with full awareness of the divorce statistics, full knowledge of the alternatives, and full understanding that it's partially manufactured necessity. That suggests marriage has evolved into something genuinely different. Not economic survival, although it may seem like it, or social requirement, but voluntary vulnerability. It is a choice to be legally, emotionally, and financially entangled with another human being simply because the story feels worth telling. Now let's push back a little on this romantic notion. Is marriage actually necessary or just a cultural artifact we can't shake? I want you to look at the Na people of southern China. They don't have marriage, but they have a matrilineal society without recognized bonds equivalent to marriage. They practice serial monogamy, and in the past, simultaneously having multiple romantic partners was the norm. Their society functions perfectly well with what they call walking marriages, where women choose their partners throughout their lifetime, don't cohabitate with them, and raise children in their own homes where uncles play significant roles. Group marriage has been practiced by some cultures of Polynesia, Asia, Papua New Guinea, and the Americas, with all members considered married to all other members and sharing parental responsibility for any children. These aren't failed societies. They're alternative solutions to the same human needs marriage addresses. Modern polyamory and ethical non-monogamy communities are essentially running real-time experiments in relationship structures, proving that commitment, love, and family can exist outside traditional marriage frameworks. So, why do we cling to this specific model when alternatives work just as well? Maybe because marriage isn't really about efficiency. It's about a story. We're not optimizing for the best relationship structure. We're participating in a shared cultural narrative that gives our individual choices meaning within a larger framework. Or maybe we're just really good at talking ourselves into expensive traditions. Either way, the next time someone asks you why people still get married, remind them we're the same species that convinced ourselves rocks prove love. The question isn't why we still marry. It's why we expect our relationship choices to make any rational sense. So here we are after diving through 4,300 years of human relationship drama, and I'm left with one burning question. Is marriage about love, law, ritual, or marketing? You see, the plot twist? It's all of them having a messy threesome with our psychology.
Chasing the light,
Think about it. We just spent 20 minutes unpacking how we got convinced that compressed carbon equals commitment, how we turned ancient livestock trading into Instagram content, and how we're willingly paying mortgage money to throw elaborate dinner parties where everyone pretends your drunk uncle is charming and most likely go back home criticizing the waiter that had a tilted bow tie. And yet, here's the beautiful irony of it all. Knowing all this doesn't make marriage any less appealing. If anything, it makes it more fascinating. We're literally the only species that looked at practical survival mechanisms and said, you know what this needs? More feelings and better flowers. Maybe that's exactly why we keep doing it. In your dating lifetime, you will get ghosted via emoji, and your job, especially now, can disappear overnight. Promising forever is basically giving reality the finger. It's saying, I know everything is temporary, but watch me bet my entire future on this one person anyway. That's not necessarily naive. It's also rock and roll. So the next time you're at a wedding watching two people exchange overpriced rings while someone's aunt live streams the whole thing, remember, you're not just witnessing someone's special day. You're watching humanity's longest running middle finger to chaos, complete with an open bar and questionable DJ choices. We're still making this whole thing up as we go. The only difference is now we've got better sound systems and professional photographers to document our artistic disasters. Maybe choosing to promise forever when everything else has an expiration date isn't the most logical thing we do, but it might just be the most human thing we'll ever experience. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Until next time, stay curious, stay hopeful, and may your union lead you closer to who you are meant to be.
I love you.
Mom, somebody just followed me.
This is the most unusual practice. Rethink what you think you know with Charlie.
Ciao, ciao.
Unusual Practice with host Charlie explores cultural healing through hidden histories, unconventional ideas, and fresh perspectives that challenge the way we think. In each concise episode, deep insights unfold in minutes, transforming years of wisdom into sharp takeaways you can carry into everyday conversations. It's not just about knowledge, it's about restoring how we connect, with each other, with our past, and with the world around us. Unusual Practice designed to spark dialogue that heals as much as it provokes.